Okay guys, so while we're getting here on the bodywork of the car, as you can see, I did go on ahead and guide coat everything. Unfortunately, we are dealing with some very light sprinkles, so I don't really know if I want to sand everything. Probably a good time to wet sand, but before I start applying any type of filler or anything, I kind of want to get all the major dents out. I'm pretty lucky because all the major dents are just on the roof. So I know that you probably won't be able to see the severity of this one here. There you go, in the front passenger side. As you can see, they got a heat gun there and hammer. I do have some dollies, but I don't think I'm gonna need it. And then I do have another one somewhere in the middle, I think more so towards the driver's side. But seeing as how this is the biggest dent, I think the other one I could probably get away with throwing a little filler in there. This is what I'm going to work on now. So what I plan on doing, it's about maybe 60-ish degrees, maybe a little bit more. There you go, there's a good angle. It's pretty cold, so I'm going to try and warm up the metal, get it kind of warmed up and just kind of poking it from the backside. In a previous video, I had to remove my windshield for the cowl and everything. I already cut out the headliner, and that was just because it was old. It was actually in really good shape considering I think it was original, but I just went ahead and cut it out because once you have the windshield out, that's the time to either do it or not. And knowing that I had this huge dent, I knew that I would have to get in behind it really to probably be able to pull it out, or kind of hammer it out a little bit. You might be able to use a slide hammer on it. I don't have one, and not too familiar with how to use them. And I should have another dent, more so a crease somewhere. I know that there's one. Maybe it is, oh, here it is, the passenger side, not the driver's side. So it's right here as well. We have a nice crease about a hand length or so, maybe a little less. Right here, that is a nice little dinger, so I'm going to hit that one out. And then the only other one that I have that is a dent that I'm going to work on is this guy right here. So that's just a little one. It's pretty small, but I could easily throw some filler on there and be good. But I'm going to go ahead and try and hammer it out from the inside. And then I still do need to address this lower quarter. I'm just not doing it yet. Okay guys, so definitely not perfect by any means, but what a noticeable difference there. You actually have the shape of the roof. It's not all dented in. So I went ahead and hit it with my 120 on my palm sander just to try and get an idea of what's high. You can see I still have a couple high spots. The worst one being this back metal piece here. The rest of them I was kind of able to hammer out decently. And then right here, still a low spot. I just can't get it. I was able to get back all up in here and get all that nice and flat, and I tried doing this one and it just wasn't quite cooperating. So I think a little bit of filler right there and sanding it down will be able to call that one good. So pretty happy with how that came out. I do have another one right here. So unfortunately, as you can see, it's raining, so I don't want to leave my phone out in the rain. So I'm just gonna do this one off camera. Okay, so it's I think it's like a week later or so since the last video I did. So yeah, we've been working through a lot. As you can see, we're finally getting the car all nice and smooth everywhere. Get a skim coat on this whole side. I think previously I mentioned that basically the epoxy primer I did shrink due to the weather fluctuation, and that stuff is pretty delicate. So today I will be putting on a urethane primer that dries in about 24 hours and is good to go. So I'll be putting that over. The biggest issue I'm running into is working outside. Basically, before I do anything, here's a good spot. And I have to go through and basically sand the entire car anytime I want to do anything to it. because I get a little bit of rust. And the temperatures are not exactly ideal for epoxy primer, and waiting 4 days just isn't happening. We're getting rain too often. So I'm taking off and chasing down rust more than I am doing anything else. So trying to do body work and then having to basically sand the entire panel and then throw some stuff on it. It's just been a nightmare. But I think I finally got there after about a week or so of doing this, probably closer to 2 weeks. Yeah, so we're sitting pretty good. Everything's feeling really good. I was able to get this whole section figured out. I pressed it out a whole bunch, and then today I got my dolly in behind there and was able to smooth it out a ton. It's definitely not perfect. I think if I put a little Bondo right here, that'll level all that out, and that'll be nice and straight. It's a little bit low right here in the middle, and then right here, that is like a ridge, and I can't get a dolly in there anyway to bring out the rest or beat that down. So I'm just gonna throw some Bondo in there, and that's just gonna have to be layered, unfortunately. Other than that though, the car is coming along rather good, nice and smooth. Even on this side over here where I did the panel, where I welded that guy in and everything, I just threw a whole bunch of filler and sanded it down, made it all nice and smooth. I was having a little bit of an issue because there is a body line right here that goes through. So what I was doing with my sander was I was getting a little too flat, but I had to try and keep that style line. So I think I did a decent job after multiple rounds. I mean, that took me quite a bit. All in, we were adding it up. We think you just stripping the car down, epoxy priming it, body work it and everything. You got to be at least probably nearing 120 hours. And again, that is stripping the car entirely down, throw a body filler on there, letting it dry, sanding it back down, throw a little more body filler, sanding it down, going through and marking out all our spots everywhere that we found something, working on that, and then chasing down the rust. I think if I was in a garage and I had to chase down the rust, I mean, I'd probably take off a third of that time, if not probably half that time, because that's really where I'm running into a lot of the issues. Is like, oh, okay, I don't touch the car, you know, for a day after work, come out here and like all this has surface or little rust, so then I have to go back in and sand all this back down before I can do anything. So it's been a little frustrating, but you know, we're going through it. Same on this thing. I basically did a whole skim coat on this side as well, and all I did was pretty much just fill all of the cracks. As you can see, this was a door panel, so it's nice and straight and everything's fine there. It was just mainly filling the cracks. Same over there on this quarter panel, all nice and smooth, filling the cracks. Pretty happy with how everything's turning out. That trunk I bought was pretty good. It did need a little bit of work, but not a ton. It had a nice dinger that I missed right here, and it was super hard to get anything in there because it's right on this body line. So it looks like something might have hit it, like fell kind of like that and landed right here. So trying to sand that and then pop it out. As you can see, you can't really get in there, so it was pretty difficult, and I'm pretty sure that that's definitely going to be not perfect, but I think it'll be pretty good. Let's see. Oh, I also had another issue with the primer. So basically when I used it, it rained, which meant that water got in all the cracks when it started shrinking, and then started bubbling out from the inside. So there was a spots where I was going through and actually had to pop the like water pocket out from underneath the primer and then sand everything down, and it was not fun. But I think we are in a really good spot. Today we are going to be nearing the 80s, but it's a little afternoon, and we may get a light thunder showers tomorrow in the evening. I think there's about 20% chance of light rain. I think it's a little less than 1/10 of an inch in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the dice and put the urethane primer on there. I will be using the OptiFlow Eastwood OptiFlow urethane primer, and what that does is allows me to roll it all on again, get the car back down to one color, and then from there I will block the entire car with 220. I'm gonna throw a whole bunch of guide coat on, and then by hand I'll probably do the entire car where I need to. It should go pretty quick. I'm hoping I will get that done this weekend. Today is currently Thursday, so if I let it sit all day today and tomorrow before I touch it, I think we'll be in good shape. So that is what I'm gonna end up doing. I'll update you guys after I get everything on and painted, just because I'm on kind of time constraints. I just want to get going and get this guy down to one color, and then hopefully let it have a few hours in the sun, again, because we're nearing 80 degrees, so hopefully it'll help dry a little bit quicker. So I'll update you guys in just a little bit. So I just want to show you guys how you need to be careful when you guys get this stuff. As you can see, you got the OptiFlow roll-on urethane primer, and you can see it's almost clear looking until you go all the way down to the bottom. You have all these chunks. If I just do this, you'll see pretty clear, but there's so, I mean, the last inch or two, I'm really going to stir this for probably at least a couple of minutes, really trying to get it all in. So if you guys are doing any of these things that I am doing, just make sure you do that. Make sure you get all the way down to the bottom. And I'm barely touching the surface, because I think if I go any deeper, it'll break the stir stick actually. So I'm just gonna keep mixing it. And I mean, I can still push it down. As you can see, I can get to there and then all the way down on that stuff. I mean, it's probably gotta be an inch of just stuff at the bottom. So anyway, I want to show you guys that, because I did not do that the first time I did the epoxy primer. I think that's where I ran into some issues. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll update you guys on how it goes on, what I think about it when I get it on the car. Okay guys, so just had a neighbor come over and say hey, so I stopped the video. So this is the quarter where I had a lot of issues. It was previously, this whole side was hit. If you saw some of the body work, they had a whole bunch of pinholes. They pulled it. None of it was straight. None of it was smooth. I can tell you right in here, still pretty rough. It looks like I got through here pretty good. This is obviously all, as you can see, high, and then low, and then like low, and right in here, just back here is fine, not right up here in the front. So this whole section is still gonna need quite a bit of work, unfortunately. It kind of makes me feel a little bit better about my body work, that this thing that I replaced and patched turned out a little bit better than this. But yeah, I'll have to go back in all through here. It's just is what it is. This car's been smacked before, so clearly in the back end. I am getting close on the man, this whole section is just bad, but getting close on timeline, so gonna have to really get moving on this. Tomorrow will be 24 hours and I can sand on it, so I'll hit it with 220, double check that I can add filler on top of urethane, and then prime it again. So I'll just be focusing mainly through here, the antenna hole, because it was a little low. I mean, you would never know, I don't think, but I got it just right and saw it. This is actually very straight looking, so not too bad. And it looks like I actually missed a little section on the hood. Probably just pulled it off with the roller. So, but overall impressions, the urethane went on just much better. At first I had to mix it for about 30 minutes of mixing. I'm not even joking, sitting inside mixing, and then it started flinging it everywhere and everything like that. So then that kind of sucked, especially because I was doing it in my kitchen. Yeah, this right here is gonna need some work in the rear end of the roof too. But the front end looks pretty dang good. About right there. Yeah, it's a little low. Need those 2 spots. Okay, so roof will need a little work too. Get this bug out of there. But yeah, so when I first mixed it, it came with like this white cap around the bucket. Wasn't a fan of that because I put my channel locks on there, and as I pulled it up, it punctured the can. So I'm hoping the can's still good. It mixes 4 to 1, easy enough. No complaints about that. But when I did get it all mixed up, it was still a little watery, and then as it started to dry a couple times, a couple minutes, it kind of tacked up a little bit, and it was awesome at that point to roll on. And it went on pretty smooth overall. I thought it was a little bit better. I kind of hidden. Oh yeah, this whole section here needs some work. Yeah, there you go, you can see it. If I was a little bit better, I could probably have gotten rid of some of these like marks here with the roller, but I'm just not that good. So dang, looks like I'm gonna have to work on the roof. This quarter panel, this section right in here, this quarter, if I remember correctly, looked pretty good. All this over here looked pretty good, just needs some glaze. So not too bad. Looks like we got a low spot in here, and that one little dent up here that you can definitely see now. So, but pretty happy. I'll keep updating you guys as I sand and add filler and everything like that to it. Okay, here's the next day after the urethane primer. Been drying for 24 hours. Really happy with how this turned out in comparison to the epoxy primer like I already spoke about. So right now I'm going to go through and mark any of the other spots that still need some work, because there are definitely some spots, but honestly not too bad. Hood is good to go, cowl is good to go, nice true straight. I do have a dent right in here. You can maybe see it right through here. Luckily this style line, I remember I was working over here and I had to work this. It's not perfect, but I think if I do anything more, it's going to make it way worse. So I think it's actually going to be good. Unfortunately, through here, I need to add just a little bit of filler. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Yeah, I might have to grab a Sharpie. Let me grab a Sharpie real quick. Grab a Sharpie, put the grease pencil back up. And I don't want to use tape and peel anything back, even though I know I could. All right. And we do have a plethora of other issues coming on too. So that was right in here, down to about there. Yeah, so that's just a little low. I'm really happy with how the rest of this fender came out, especially considering the condition that it was in. So pretty happy with my body work. I do have a couple little high build spots like that, but I will be adding some filler on a couple of these little dents I have. And then the plan is to block the car with 220. Moving forward, I have an issue right here. You can see the door still hits the fender. I do have new door hinges, but I'm going to see if I can get a buddy over here to take this off, put the new door hinges on. That should raise the door up, as you can see, and then that should alleviate the stress that it is hitting down there at the bottom. For the rest of it though, the rest of this fender and everything is nice and true, which is awesome because I patched this whole section down here and looks pretty freaking good. So still do have a couple little like runs and stuff from the brush of the roller. This door, I already did a walk around, so I kind of know everything's at is good to go. No worries here. You do need to add some filler into some spots, so I'll probably be doing like a skim coat. That's just something I'm assuming was in the brush. This quarter panel, which is the one that I redid down low, as you can see, I mean, looks like nothing ever even happened. I can't believe how good this actually ended up turning out. It actually looks better than the other side, except for right here. This transition is not very good, So I think I am going to add just a little bit more filler, maybe try and smooth that out. But this chrome piece, which I'll have to order new ones, should pretty much cover all that up. And I think if I get a little bit more filler in here and smooth that out, it'll really be good to go. A couple of little more cracks, maybe a little shrinkage up here. As you can see, we got a ton of shrinkage or something, so I'm gonna have to sand all that down and add some let's put a dot there, remember to look there, put some body filler on it there. The roof is the biggest issue for sure. Tons of little dents on the front and the back. Kind of the front pretty much inch or two, 3 or 4 inches. The same with the back. All of the body work I did in here feels really good, nice and smooth, like nothing happened. And then if you kind of go this way, you could actually see got something here and there. Actually, that one is just the white. Oh no, there we go. So put a dot there, dot there. Then we had another one up front. What was it? I think it was more to the passenger side. Nope. Yeah, so that's not quite good either. Right around in there. Yeah, so pretty happy. This whole section, this rear filler panel turned out really good, except for I just need to go in here and sand a lot of this off a little bit better. Obviously both sides, and clean it all up. Tail panel, trunk. This section here turned out pretty dang good. Could probably get this radius off a little bit more, maybe. I feel like it's pretty dang smooth all the way through though. I'm actually gonna leave that. Same on this side, need to clean that up. This quarter panel, oh man, this thing is still giving me quite a hard time. You can see we got some pretty high spots here, so I need to level all this out. This whole section right here, I don't remember putting any filler or anything through here, so I don't know why this is all nice and high. So I'm gonna add some more filler and then hopefully be able to kind of feather all this out, make it smooth. Add, you know, some there as well. Fill all these pinholes there. I thought we had, okay, those are already marked. Same, we got some kind of shrinkage of pinholes up there. This side just needs to be smoothed out. I'm really hoping 220 will knock all that down. The door was fine, still needs to be hit with 220. If you guys remember this big spot in here, I really cannot believe how well I actually ended up getting that to come out. Super happy with that. Okay, just those 2 dents in the middle. Ooh. On the roof. This fender turned out much better than I thought too, even with the antenna delete, which I thought I could feel it earlier. Can't really feel it now though. Okay, well, guess we're gonna leave it. And the rest of this fender just needs to be hit with 220. Really nothing else on it. So yeah, really happy with how that all turned out. So really not bad. This little style line right here, we just still do have a little bit of a high spot. Could probably potentially knock it down, but it's a little bit of bacon right here, just slightly. I think I'm just gonna leave it, especially because the body line, everything is rather well, especially once you get that door all the way closed, but I'm having issues with the latch. Again, I feel like these doors are never ending issues. So really on the entire car, we got one really low spot there. We got the 2 up front on the roof. This just needs to get body filled. Kind of body filled here, all the cracks as well. Clean up the rear filler panel, and those 2 on the roof. So pretty happy with it all. Okay guys, this is after I've been adding a round of filler after the urethane primer. I went around, circled everything with my Sharpie, and I actually forgot to film, I think. So going to my second round there. Just can't quite get smooth, so I think one more will get it. Same with the roof, got all those all nice and smoothed out. One little skim coat. Same here, as you can see, was able to get everything nice and smooth. Kind of through here too, one little coat, got everything pretty nice. Same on this quarter. Same on the vast majority of this quarter panel, seemed pretty good. And then I tried filling in a ton of these little like tiny little cracks that were slightly under, not quite the same depth, I guess, as the filler. So what I did was I did a pretty light skim coat a lot of the spots that were really bad on the roof, especially like all through here, and now it's all nice and smooth. I started out sanding with 220, had to move to 80 because I didn't mix my filler good enough. So it was a oh, excuse me, nightmare trying to sand. So if you are going to be mixing filler, make sure to mix it good, because if not, it just turns into Bondo and it just eats through your sandpaper because it just gumps up and everything. So anyway, so what I'm doing now is I'm letting a couple spots dry here. That's just a little skim coat extra that I had on the roof in that other quarter. And what I did was I sprayed some of the guide coat on this whole side because the rest of it feels pretty good. And what I'm going to do now is just block sand it with a 220 on a Eastwood Durablock. The way you want to block sand is, let me zoom out, you want to go in a crosshatch pattern, and as you can see, all that is coming off pretty good. The guide coat, nothing is that bad, so it's looking like this is a rather flat panel, which it should be because it's aftermarket metal. So this is really helping leveling everything out. So I'm just gonna keep rolling with it, hitting the entire car, and that feels really nice and smooth, especially right through here, the side that I just did. So it does go through your sandpaper pretty quick, but that's what I'm gonna do while this other stuff dries. I'm gonna try and get the whole car blocked, hopefully tonight. I'm hoping I can get it all done in about 2 hours, and then let it sit for probably the night. We have like 0.1 inch of rain likely before 5 a.m. so then I can wake up afterwards. Hopefully no water gets on anything that I leave potentially exposed, and then I will primer the car again if I'm happy with it. And after hitting it with 220, I might even have to jump back down to 120. I'll have to reread the primer and see if it can adhere to 220. That might be too fine. So we will see. Or I might just get the spray, their urethane spray, and just spray or touch up the spots that need it, since the rest of it's pretty good. So just got to look into that, but that's what I'm doing now. So nothing too exciting. Let's put the headphones in and get going. Okay, so here is the update. Sorry, I lived near the airport of the car after block sanding it all at 220. Definitely have a lot of little tiny lows and highs that are like super smooth, but like you might, I can't even get my fingernail to catch, but definitely feel like you can feel it. So hit the entire car. For a lot of it, the flat portions, I used just my palm sander because it has a kind of like a contouring pad, so I can follow the contour. So it was really awesome. That took out a lot of the concerns that I did have in regards to the kind of brush strokes and stuff from the roller. So pretty happy with all that. Good thing about it is a couple spots that went down the bare metal. Good thing about it all is it's quiet. So I was able to work until after sunset, a little bit later than I normally would because I'm not running power tools. So right where I live, I do have a street light right there, so it actually kind of works. At the Google, I'm gonna do next because I need to figure out if I'm supposed to run another round of primer on it now, and then guide coat and hit it with 320. If I should just jump straight up to 320, get it all nice and flat, work on anything that needs to be worked on, because I definitely have a couple little pinholes like right there is a tiny example. Essentially, you can see all three. Actually, there's a fourth one there. So, I think I can use glazing putty for a lot of that. So we'll be going to the guys at Eastwood tomorrow and kind of asking them. What I assume is going to happen is I'll hit it all now with some glazing putty, hit all the spots that I need with that, then hit the car with probably primer again, and then after the primer, hit it all to 320 one last time, get it all nice, flat, and smooth, and then if I'm happy with it, get ready for paint. So I will be going to Eastwood tomorrow to get that figured out. Right now I'm going to go and grab a car cover because we're supposed to have some light rain tomorrow. Like I said, 0.1 inches, I think, before 5 a.m. But I have a little bit of rust or bare metal showing, and I really don't have to chase down rust again. That was the biggest time suck in this entire process, because, you know, a spot this big turns into a spot this big, and when you have a couple spots like that over the entire car, taking everything down, it really sucks. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'll report back tomorrow, I guess, after I work on it and get some answers. I basically am following the Eastwood bare metal to paint YouTube video online that they posted, so that's kind of where I'm getting a lot of my references and, you know, a game plan, if anybody is curious. And then I do have a buddy who is potentially able to come over tomorrow and help me set my door with the new hinges, which would be nice to get it back up. And then I'll have to prime the edges of the door down there. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Okay, guys, it's a new day here. I just got done blocking the car and everything. I believe when you guys saw this was actually 2 days ago. So blocked the entire car 220, did some guide coat on top of the urethane primer, and as you can see, filled in a couple places already that had issues, sanded all that down, and that is where we left off. That was a at night video, so really happy with a lot of it, actually. Come back through the daylight and be able to kind of run my hands over it, kind of feel everything. A lot of it is feeling pretty dang good. So I just went through and I just, you know, this whole piece here needs to be hit on the hood. Same on the other side. I guess it didn't block very well over there. So I just went through and found everything that I could, and got it all labeled out if I need to block it or fill it. I know, like on the trunk, there's some spots that I'm going to add some glazing putty. Right in here was still a little rough. I think I just completely missed that whole section. The roof is where I spent probably the vast majority of time in the quarters, and as you can see, I really don't have much to do on either one of those, so pretty happy with all of that. The trunk, I forgot to block it all, so that's all going to be a block. But first I'm going to glazing putty fill all these little spots. Yeah, and you see this quarter, I have nothing labeled on there except for right up here by the vent window. I don't think I blocked in there either. It's still pretty wavy. So yeah, I really only got like 3-4 places I want to block. I want to fill some stuff on the trunk, and then after that I'm going to go through. Oh, like, see, you just found something right here that needs to be filled, so I need to go mark that, and then I'll do one more once over. There's another fill, another little block. You gotta basically block the cowl. I'll do one more once over, see if I need to fill anywhere else and block it. And then after that, I do plan on running another round of the epoxy primer. I do need to Google that, make sure that's what I should do. If I should do, I'm sorry, not epoxy primer, urethane primer. I really prefer the urethane primer over the, oh, this whole thing needs to be blocked actually. So, I'm just using a pencil, comes off, I can label it where I want it. Pretty easy. So, yeah, so I'm gonna end up blocking hopefully all the rest that I have going on, and then we will be good to go. Yeah, I am gonna look up if I need to use urethane primer again or not, as I'm unsure, or if I can just, you know, send it off and get painted right over everything. I'm not sure. Okay guys, it is a new day here. think I left off, I used glazing putty, and as you can see, I went in and sanded all the glazing putty down, 220, then 320, and then I have to go back and reprime over everything again. You can tell by my voice, I'm super thrilled about it, but car's coming along really good. I think, man, I feel like I hit everything, but we'll find out. I'm gonna go ahead and spot prime everything, so I'm just gonna mix up primer and just cover, well, I'll probably do the whole hood, the fender, get everything same color. I am gonna not do, I guess, the entire car, but anywhere where I sanded through to metal, like here, so I have to hit that, but then I'll probably maybe hit the rest of the trunk, I'll see, but then I gotta hit like this portion here, and then I should have a little bit right in there and right in there. So may try and conserve the paint, or I'm sorry, the primer a little bit. I haven't decided, but I also wouldn't mind getting the whole car covered one more time with getting it all down to the same color, and then sanding the whole car again, blocking it with probably 220. I think I'm just gonna skip it, go straight to 220 and then 320 per the instructions on how to paint. So yeah, all I'm gonna do is mix this guy up. It mixes 4 to 1, and go ahead and start rolling it on, and then I will be doing the front valance that is on my back porch because it's off the car. I'll be doing the front valance, the rear valance, the headlight rings that go around, and the driving lights as well. And then the entire car should theoretically be good to go and primed. I still have to work on quite a few things after I do prime it. Aside from sanding, I got this front frame rail patch that I have all the metal for, so we'll be making a separate video on that. That's the only piece of metal left on the car I need to replace. That's rusted. Everything else is solid. So pretty happy with the way everything's turned out. I was just under there today seeing I undercoated it with just some of the undercoat from the auto parts store after re-welding in everything underneath the car, making sure everything was solid, and then grinding some stuff down and undercoated it. Man, it looks actually really good under there, so pretty excited. I don't know if I made a video on that or not. Kind of juggling about like 8 different videos. Been doing a ton of work just because we're coming up on my wedding day and the car needs to be done. So when I do one task, I throw it in there, a folder, and then try and keep somewhat of a timeline. So it's kind of all over the place, so it's kind of hard to keep everything organized and not obviously showcase anything that's not been in its proper video if it's going to be getting its own video. So all right, yep, that's all I'm gonna do, guys. Mix this stuff up 4 to 1. I'm gonna roll it on and we're gonna go from there. All right, guys, it's a couple days later. Been busy working on other Mustang stuff and some other videos while letting everything set up and cure and really get everything going. So yeah, as of right now, we are looking pretty good. Some of the things we did, we just went around the car, circled all of the little pinholes we could find, the entire car. So I've done this, I did this once, and then I primed the car again, and then, well, I did it once, sorry, glazing putty, filler and everything, and then I sanded everything down, and then I re-primed it again with the urethane primer. If I could go back, I wouldn't have done all that. I would have had it primed, and before I sanded, because sanding gets the dust and everything everywhere, you really can't see it as much, the low spots. I would have done it how I'm going to do it now, which is before I sand the car, I would have glazing puttied it, got everything in, made sure I had nothing else anywhere, and then sanded the car. Essentially kind of doubling up my work, at least blocking it again. So bright side, everything's feeling pretty smooth in general. Everything's feeling pretty straight and smooth, aside from like some of the strokes from the roll-on, roller, and then some spots where I had to go super heavy. I don't know if you can see that. So overall, though, not too bad. And it looks like I actually didn't even hit this front edge of the hood, so I will be doing that. So the plan is to take some glazing putty, and I'm going to hit all of the spots that need it, let it dry. It dries, I think, it's like 5 or 10 minutes. It's pretty quick. And then I'm just gonna hit with some high build primer, and that dries in about 15 minutes or so. So the plan is to go through the entire car, probably 2 rounds of that, and we should have everything covered up, good to go. And then I'm gonna let it sit overnight and then come back tomorrow and block the whole car. Since the car's already been blocked down once, and I know it's all pretty smooth and flat and pretty good to go, I'm probably gonna hit quite a bit of the flat portions with my DA. I haven't decided. Just started my palm sander with 220, then 320. I haven't decided. I am going to test it out on the block, doing 220 and 320. See how quick it cuts through everything, how much it's taken off, and maybe just knock down all the places that need it. So I'm going to play around with that tomorrow, get a better idea, and go from there. So yep, that's all I'm going to do now, though, is just hit some glazing putty, and then I will let you guys know how all that goes. I've never used high build primer before. I'm almost curious because it says it fills imperfections. I'm almost wondering if I could use that instead of glazing putty. So I am going to read about that. It can be sprayed directly to metal or over sanded and cleaned previous coatings. All right. So it's tack-free in 7 to 10 minutes, and it needs to sit for an hour before you sand. It says to sand it with 400 or 600, wet or dry. So might be better to glazing putty and then hit the high build primer. It's probably the better route to go. So I'm going to mix some high build primer up, and then we're going to go ahead and fill it in. We'll go from there. Excited. Hopefully this high build primer, I may test it out on a spot, like one of these little spots here, and see if that fills it or not. I'm not sure. But while that's doing that, I do plan on potentially while that's all drying up for about an hour, I think I'm going to work on this door. I have new door hinges for it. As you can see, it just sags really bad. So I need to get that done before I really start moving forward too much further in the process, because the door hits down there at the bottom. Only thing is, it's just myself, so I think if I take off the fender, I think I could do one hinge at a time, keep it where it's at, maybe get my jack under the backside, jack it up, get the body line set to the quarter, and then just replace one hinge at a time. I think that's what I'm gonna do, but obviously I need to get everything else set up to start drying. So that's the game plan. Pretty excited. Okay guys, so we got the entire car filled with glazing putty. Let that dry for probably 15-20 minutes. I actually taught my fiance how to do it, so she went pretty crazy. And then while she was doing that, I put on the rear quarter fender extensions, and I'm finishing up the rear valance now. It's very clear. I know the rear valance was having a hard time fitting when I first got it. The original, because it was crumpled up a little bit. This car has definitely been smacked a few good times before, so it's definitely giving me a little bit of an issue, and it's not quite fitting up perfect. So I'm gonna have to obviously, once I suck some of this stuff in, it should be all right. So I'm gonna have to work on that a little bit. But what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and throw some high build primer over all of the areas that have been hit with some glazing putty, and I just want to see kind of how this stuff turns out, and I'm gonna let that dry for the night. But oh yeah, man, Eastwood stuff just sprays so good. So, and then the plan is tomorrow, maybe even later tonight, to come back out, look at everything, circle with our pins, everything that we can find again, and kind of just keep doing this a couple times around. I'm doing high build primer because I want everything to be basically the same color for paint. I know you can paint over it, but what I've been told is it's better to have it all the same color for the base coat. So instead of rolling on stuff and having to buy a whole nother thing of the OptiFlow, I think the high build is a little bit better. And I wanted it for some of these hard to reach areas. To at least get some primer in on those guys. So, man, this stuff lays out nice. Curious to see how it dries, and yeah, it says high build, so I'm curious to see what that is. I'm new to all this, so I've obviously never used it. So I just know that this whole quarter was kind of a mess. So, man, it's laying all nice and smooth though, that's for sure. There's some. Heck yeah. Oh, and then while she was doing that, I also put on some battery terminal, like protectors. So if anybody has a good way with these hoods with the cutouts, you can see the batteries right there. I'm still waiting for my inserts to come in and the little mounting brackets and everything, so I don't know if that'll help. But my car wouldn't start the other day, and that was because the battery was very, very corroded. So I put those covers on there. I'm hoping that helps, but I'm thinking of building something or just welding that completely off, just so I don't have to deal with the water getting in there. This car is going to live outside, unfortunately. I don't have a garage, so don't want to have a dead battery, have to deal with that. And then I also have the cowl covers. Even though I replaced the cowl, I'm just immediately going to throw those covers on there. I did coat the inside of the cowl, as you guys saw, and I seam sealed everything pretty good too, like Ben does them from Pearson Restorations. Basically tried following some of his tips and tricks, because that guy's very, very talented. And while I don't have a tenth of the skill he has, I can copy some of his lessons learned, because man, he puts out some pretty amazing builds. If you guys haven't seen him, check him out on YouTube. He shares everything he does too, which is pretty cool. He used to work for CJ Pony Parts and basically started his own restoration shop, and he does some crazy work. He's a one-man show as far as I know, so I do know if anybody does want to get work with him, he has a little bit of a wait from what I've heard. To be honest, I wanted to do this car myself, so I didn't even look into having him do anything. But man, I sure watch his YouTube videos, and he definitely provided some help to me for sure. So yeah, so there's a big spot right here. Might be kind of hard to see, so I'm curious if I kind of throw a little bit on there, how that's going to play out. And then trying to get these vents. We sat with Heather, while I was doing the rest of the car. She was a trooper, and she really tried doing her best to get in there. And I mean, she spent more time than I probably would have, to be honest, so not easy. But anyway, this is all I'm going to do the rest of the night, is just play around, keep spraying. This stuff has to wait about an hour till you can sand it, so I'm just not going to do any sanding tonight. And then come back around, look for any other spots that need to hit with glazing putty. And then while that's going, I do plan on getting the rear valance on. It's definitely coming together. I am going to have to work on the fitment. So it's not quite tight in there, and it looks like it's hitting some metal right here. So I think if I just cut that really quick, that was from the old one, and I tried keeping on as much metal as I possibly could, so that just needs to come off. And unfortunately, it looks like it's coming up a little short over here. So when I bought the car, there was a huge gap over here for some reason, and I think that's because that side over there has been hit before. So I actually don't think the car is perfect, and I had a little bit of a crumple in this quarter. So something's off, or the valence is off. I'm gonna have to go back and double check when I first fit that valence up how it fit. If it is off, then I'm pretty sure that's honestly due to me doing some work, and I may have not had the quarter pulled tight enough down on the bottom whenever I did the trunk floor, which is surprising because if you want to see the trunk, I thought I pulled everything pretty freaking tight. And you can see it's very, very tight, and it's not all the way latched, but the trunk is very, very tight. I mean, tighter than it came from the factory. And this is a factory piece. These are factory quarters. So may have just been I didn't, maybe down there on the bottom not get it enough, but man, I checked all my measurements and I'm pretty sure, I know when I did that video I was checking everything and it, you know, it came out, I mean, just a little bit off, but I think it was like a quarter of an inch or something. Right here I got it like an inch. Well, yeah, probably an inch. So don't know what's going on there. This guy, quarter extension on this side, fitting really great, which is awesome. This side, not so much. It's a little high, and then I'm missing like this chunk of metal right here. So I think that was actually body filler, if I remember correctly. So that might be getting body filled. But that's all. So all for tonight anyway.